No, is our next guest, Kody Mommaerts. He's a ring announcer, better known by his nickname Big Mo. He's just 28 years old, and it makes him the youngest professional ring announcer in the world. He can be heard introducing the fighters at many big MMA and boxing events. That's mixed martial arts. And recently his work has taken him to the Middle East as well, where it can be a very different atmosphere to what we're used to here in Europe and, of course, in America. A short while ago before the show, I spoke to Big Mo to find out how he became such a prominent ring announcer in his 20s. Just a heads up, the line to Colorado is a little bit crackly at points, so apologies for that. But I began by asking him if he prefers Kody or Big Mo.
Honestly, either of them is okay. I think Big Mo I initially kind of went with because it was simpler than my crossword puzzle of a last name. So if you can pronounce it, Mommaerts is fine. If you want something simpler and easier, then Big Mo works also.
Listen, with a surname like mine, I feel you, brother. I know where you're coming from. I was going to ask, why do we call you Big Mo? But considering you're 6'7" tall, Big Mo, that probably answers the question.
Yeah, no, 6'7". I used to be a lot bigger. I actually used to be about 310 pounds. I've lost about 100 pounds, so I'm slightly more slender Mo, I guess, for a more accurate nickname.
So like many giant Americans, you've got a background in football, American football, I think it is, and I take it that's where your love of sports came from. And were you involved in combat sports as well?
Yeah, so oddly enough, actually, so yes, I played American football, ended up playing in college as well, which is the step before professionals. Didn't really have what it take to go pro, but I played for a long time. But actually, the first sport I ever participated in was actually martial arts. My father, who raised me, realized that I was pretty bad with my balance as I was growing quickly, so he put me into that sport. And then that transition into loving football and basketball and those more traditional team sports. But yeah, I do have a little bit of experience in combat sports.
So how do you then become a professional ring announcer? Because it's not really a popular career, Big Mo, if I'm honest with you. I think you're the only person I've ever met that does it, because I've never had the pleasure of meeting, I guess, the big two, the Buffer brothers. There's not a huge amount of other people doing it. How did you start?
Well, number one, I'm honored that I'm the first ring announcer that you've ever met. I feel like this is an important occasion. But no, so when I got done playing in college or towards the end of my career, I was objectively a pretty good public speaker. I did a lot in business, have a business and entrepreneurship background. I ended up getting my MBA at university, so I did a lot of presentations and speaking. And I remember I actually was going to host like an awards show banquet for the athletic department. And after hounding the athletic department, they finally let me host it, in front of the teams and the coaches, and the administration, and some alumni and stuff. And I did a monologue and everything, the traditional event type hosting, and it went really well. And I had a lot of friends that say, hey, you should try commentary, because that's obviously a common transition when you get done playing the sport. But I was tired of football and basketball. I played them my whole life. I was burnt out of those. But I loved combat sports. So I joined on with a regional promotion here in Denver called Sparta. Joined them as a commentator first. And then I saw the ring announcer, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. That seems, I don't know, that just seems right for me. And I did it. Gained some notoriety quickly, went viral a couple times. People saw that I was kind of this younger person doing it, and I guess was this kind of next gen type of announcer. And the rest is history. And now I work for Sky Sports and NBC, and it's just been a wild ride.
Fantastic. I mentioned the Buffer brothers. Michael Buffer, probably the most famous of all, with his "Let's get ready to rumble" phrase. And then for mixed martial artists and UFC fans, Bruce Buffer, it's time.
Yep.
Is it a cliche to say they're heroes of yours? I mean, I don't know if they do posters of the Buffer brothers and they're up on your wall, but are they the ones that you look up to?
No, I think so. I've talked about them a lot, and I think that they're the gold standard. I've had a little bit of interaction with them, and they're very, very kind gentlemen, very nice guys. They go about their business well, and they're also smart entrepreneurs, which I respect. But no, I think they're the gold standard.
Yeah.
And, I think a big thing for me is because I've gotten compared to the Buffers a lot. I mean, I had people that they thought I was like one of their sons or something. And
the
but
Buffer
I'm
dynasty.
I'm not.
You're not.
Yeah, I'm not.
See, that would have been a great scoop if you came on and announced to the world.
No, I am not. I'm not a Buffer, but I appreciate that. And I think I want to be myself, and I want to be the first Big Mo. I don't want to be the next Buffer, but I do try to take inspiration from where I can. And they definitely, if I had an inspiration, they would be it. Certainly.
Do you have a catchphrase? Is it an obligation to have one?
I mean, I do. I have a couple. I like to start shows with a little bit of crowd work and call and reaction with some "Can you hear me" stuff. And for my main event, my catchphrase is "Get wild."
Nice.
But for me, catchphrases and terminology, truthfully, isn't all that important. For me, it's more so my energy, my charisma, hopefully my charisma, my presence, how I announce, how I work with the fighters, how I operate, how I navigate the ring. For me, that's what I pay attention to more than necessarily the words that I say. You could give me a script of brand new words, and I like to think that I would still get the crowd into it. So it's
a weird job, isn't it, Big Mo, if we're honest with ourselves? You're in the middle of a ring, sort of shouting at people, telling them things they already know. But it's such an important job as well as part of the show.
No, I think, look, my job is ridiculous. It is. There's no other way to describe it. Like you said, I get into a ring, I'm wearing a tuxedo, I'm surrounded by people that may or may not be wearing tuxedos, and specifically to, fighters that are in a ring getting ready to go to war. And I'm yelling information, I'm getting the crowd into it, but it works and it creates an atmosphere. And I think that is critically important for people that, pay a lot of money to buy a ticket or to watch a show on television. They're taking time out of their life. They want to enjoy it. And I believe that a level of entertainment is really important. I love entertainment, and I think that entertainment actually provides a pretty important role in society, whether you're a TV show or whether you're a radio host like yourself, Johnny, or whether you're a ring announcer like myself or whomever. I take a lot of pride in what I do, but I do acknowledge that at times it's a little crazy.
Listen, I love a bit of the old razzle-dazzle. I think, we need it more than ever as well, that sort of escapism, the showbiz and pomp and ceremony. I just love it. The thing is as well, you talk about obviously getting the crowd going. You're the hype man to do that. But I think, especially when you watch Bruce Buffer in the UFC, he gets the fighters going as well. He really amps the fighters up. He's there screaming their name with his catchphrase and he's fist bumping them. And it seems that the fighters love that and relish that as much as the actual opposition standing there in front of them.
I think so. And I think, kind of a continuation of what we were just talking about, I think that it's important that the fighters, can almost block out everything else that's going on. And it's a really intimate moment when I'm in there with fighters. And I've talked to a lot of fighters about this. And, where I'm a little bit unique for boxing is I move around the ring a lot. But what it allows it to do, in my opinion, is, that fighter climbs through those ropes, and he or she is surrounded by tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of potential viewers that are watching the broadcast. I think it kind of grounds them almost. I think it almost kind of blocks everything out that's going on in the sense of like, hey, I'm here with you too, and I'm hopefully transferring energy to you. So it's really, I don't know, the psychology of it is pretty interesting. And that's something that I've enjoyed with my career, is introducing this job and talking about this career to people. Because I feel like a lot of people, they're aware that announcers exist, but, they may or may not understand the intricacies of how the job is done.
Yeah. And speaking of getting the crowd going, I wanted to finish by talking to you about Saudi Arabia. I know you've been working over there. Obviously, it's been huge growth in the sport in that country. And we've had lots of conversations about the notions around sports washing and the controversies around it. But one thing I wanted to talk to you about was the atmosphere, because at times there's criticism of the atmosphere over there, Big Mo, and maybe the fans not quite getting it or not quite being as passionate as perhaps they should be when they've got the big fights. What's the atmosphere like over there, and what's been your experience of that part of the world?
So I've done a couple shows in Dubai. I haven't done any of the shows.
Okay, so the Middle East then, right?
Yeah, and look, I think cultivating an atmosphere is very difficult. And I think that there's a lot of components that go into a broadcast or a production, whether it's the television side or whether it's the live event side. And an announcer that can help pull that energy out of people is very important. You know, I'm a glorified public speaker, but a massive component of public speaking is establishing authority and getting people to listen to what you have to say. And so perhaps, you know, a more active ring announcer that can kind of pull that emotion out of people is what they need. I don't know, this may be me pitching myself, but I think that all that stuff is important. You know, whether you're the ring announcer, whether you're the DJ that's there, whether you're one of the commentators that's off camera, that's, you know, doing play-by-play for the fight, all that plays a role. So I think that, you know, as Saudi Arabia does more shows, because I think that they have no sign of stopping anytime soon, I think that it's going to be important for them to interact the crowd there.
Yeah.
I think that every crowd is different. The crowds in America are different than the crowds in the UK. I think you guys have the best crowds in the world, but that's because you guys have seen what's worked throughout various sports. I mean, you guys play Sweet Carolina, and it's almost like a trigger for the crowd. You only learn that by having a lot of, you know, runs at the hill of how to entertain a crowd. So I think Saudi Arabia is just building towards that.
Well, listen, Big Mo, it's been great to talk to you. You're sounding great as ever. Is the voice insured, by the way? Are the pipes insured?
I'm working on it, actually. I'm working on it.
All right.
I got to be careful.
Of course you do. You got to look after him. Listen, we'll let you go. Rest that voice. Can't wait to see and hear you next time around. And thank you for spending a bit of time with us, Big Mo.
Much love, Johnny. Thank you so much. Thank you all to those that are listening in. Enjoy the show. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Johnny, for the time.
Big Mo.